Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, Agnes Goodwine, and welcome, Tribes. Today's special guest is Natasha Allen. Natasha is a certified personal trainer and fitness nutritionist. She received her Master's of Business Administration from Keller Graduate School of Management, DeVry University in 2006. Additional distinctions include a certification in life coaching and an Energy Leadership Master Practitioner license from the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. She has also been recognized by Cambridge Who's Who for demonstrating dedication, leadership, and professional excellence. Natasha's diverse background brings profound insight and a creative perspective to her coaching relationship. Natasha's passion, purpose, and profession is not only about helping others reach their highest potential in their health and wellness journey, but also experiencing true life balance to have more energy to do the things they love. She attributes her success to her perseverance, self-awareness, goal setting, and a host of dedicated leaders who have mentored her throughout her life. She joins us today to talk about how we can break free from the cycle of emotional eating. Let's dive in. Hi, Natasha, and welcome to Level Up Tribes.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me on this beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's dive in and talk about how you got involved with the fitness and nutrition industry.
Well, let's see. So it's kind of an interesting story. I grew up watching my mother actually take care of a lot of older adults that had issues, kidney issues, liver issues, just a lot of health issues. And at the age of 10, I actually started working out, right?
Wow.
So I had her buy me these, if anyone remembers Tammy Lee Webb.
I don't.
She was like this fitness instructor. This is when they had like VHS tapes, right?
Okay.
So I had her buy me these tapes and I would work out with these tapes because I did not want to grow old and have to be taken care of.
Right.
You know, like that was my biggest thing because some of these, men and women that she was helping take care of, you could tell they just hadn't taken care of
So
themselves.
she was a nurse?
No, she wasn't. My mom was a housewife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we had a lot of family members and some of her friends that just fell very ill. So as a young kid, I would just work out and I would try to make sure I would eat right, but my mom was fixing my dinner, so I didn't have much say in that. But I think for me, the biggest thing was I was maybe around 16 or 17 years old, and I realized that these quote unquote old people were not old people. They were maybe like late 40s,
Right.
early to mid 50s. So they weren't old at all.
Right.
And when I realized that, I thought, oh my God, what a disservice and how disrespectful it is to not take care of yourself and then have someone else have to take care of you because you didn't do the right thing.
Right.
So, of course, I didn't go the fitness route. I would still work out and do everything like that. But I went into finance. So my background is in finance. I did about 20 years in corporate finance, and I hated it.
Why?
I hated it. Well, one, I love numbers because it's very black and white, right? There's no shade of gray. It is what it is. But I did it solely for money.
Okay.
It was something about the stock market that I loved, and I was like, I want to do something with the stock market or something in finance. And so I went into the financial industry. And no, I never liked one of my jobs. Not one. I wish after 20 years I could say there was one job that I loved. No, not at all. But I did that for the money to really just provide a foundation for myself. I was very independent, right? So it was all about being able to take care of myself and buy my first home and my first dog and, things like that, right? So that was really why I went into it. But I'd always had a desire to still be in the fitness industry. In fact, I can remember dating a bodybuilder once. And, I had this secret dream of owning my own fitness studio. And so we're dating, and I go, you want to own your own gym one day, right? He goes, no, devastated.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is over. Why am I even with you?
We're done.
Right, But that was me being afraid to step out on my dream. And that was me kind of wanting to sit in the background and like let someone else take the lead. And then I just kind of help out, right?
Yes.
And so then fast forward, years later, I'm still in corporate, doing my finance job, and still had this passion to get into fitness. And I'll never forget, one of my managers, she sent me an instant message, and it was of like a fitness company. And it was just everything in me just blew up, like resonated, like, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was funny because at the same time, I was in my corporate job, but I was working a part-time job that I absolutely loved because it was working with dogs, right? So I loved it.
Yeah.
And that same week, like my manager sent me that instant message, I think like on a Tuesday. And on that Friday, everyone in my department from my part-time job got laid off.
Wow.
Yeah, they basically did away with that entire arm of the business. And that was, for me, that was a sign, like, go and get certified, get into coaching, and then work your way up to potentially owning your own fitness studio. So that's what I did. I got into fitness. I became a part-time coach. And then I decided, you know what? I'm tired of not liking my jobs. I'm tired of going to work every day. Luckily, I had the kind of job where it's like I could finish my job in 3 hours and then I can leave in 6 hours.
Right.
But you still hate it,
Right.
So got into fitness, was doing that part-time, and then finally just took the leap and decided, okay, it's time for me to do this full time. And so now I'm a director at a boutique fitness studio. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I just love my life, and I do that, and then I grow my own business. So yeah.
Beautiful. How did you face those fears? Were there moments of doubts when you were taking that leap of faith?
Oh, moments of doubt, 3 hours of sleep every night. I'm telling you.
Yes.
And, emotionally eating, like, what am I doing with my life?
Right.
But it was one of those things where I said to myself, here's the reality. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. Let's see what happens. I owe it to myself to see what's on the other side of this, right? Because if failure ends at this, I'm not technically ruining anyone else's life but mine. And I know from experience, I can always pick myself back up. So I thought, you know what? Take the leap. You actually have nothing to lose.
Yes. Did you have a support system at that time?
I've always been really independent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I have my family, they will support me, but I have always been extremely independent. So it's like when I make my mind up to do something, it's like done. I'm just going to do it. I don't consult anyone else. I don't tell anybody until I'm like in the thick of it. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way,
this is happening.
Right. But yeah, I've always been so independent. So yeah.
It's beautiful. Well, today we're actually going to be talking about breaking free from the cycle of emotional eating, which you have been very vocal about in the past couple of weeks in your social media accounts. And that's actually what caught my attention. And so I want you to talk to us about the key players of emotional eating.
Perfect. Yes, this is probably like one of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
So there are actually about 5 key players of emotional eating. I mainly, in my business and with my clients, I mainly deal with 4. So here's the reality. I'm going to take a couple steps back. So as human beings, we have these what are called neurotransmitters, basically. They're like your brain cells, brain chemicals. And so whenever there's an imbalance in those brain chemicals, that's when we experience different issues in our lives, right? So, for example, if there's an imbalance, you may experience a lot of anxiety, depression, you name it. So they have to be in balance because the quality of those brain chemicals and the functioning determines the quality of your life. So the 4 key players of emotional eating that I deal with are dopamine, which is kind of like our natural caffeine, right? It's what gives us energy. And then we have glutamine, which if you work out at all, you probably have heard of glutamine. So it's an amino acid that actually acts as a neurotransmitter. but it really helps boost your ability to be more alert, and it boosts your mood, right?
Okay.
And then there's serotonin, which that actually helps stabilizes our mood, and then it helps us focus a lot more. And then there's another one called GABA, and that one it stands for gamma amino butyric acid, and that's kind of our natural Valium, and that really just helps us feel more relaxed. And then the fifth one is actually endorphins. But for me, when we work on the previous four, the endorphins take care of themselves, because not only do I help with the emotional eating, of course, I help with fitness and nutrition.
Okay.
So endorphins kind of take care of themselves once we work on the other four.
So for someone, let's go back because this can be very complex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
There's so many different levels and things that can cause emotional eating. I know for me personally right now at this time, because as you know, I've broke my foot, I do have my Netflix kind of days where I'm just in that funk and I'm like, I'm the ice cream girl.
Yeah.
And hot fries. I love me some hot fries.
I love it.
And
I've
so,
had those in years. Oh my
right,
God.
I know, but I love those with a Dr. Pepper. But we're emotional creatures. We're born that way, you know. How can we know from that is becoming a bad habit, or that is just a regular emotional thing that we're going through? Like, when do we know, wait a minute, I think I have a problem?
Okay.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So that kind of goes into the various types of emotional eaters.
Oh, Lord.
I know, right?
Okay.
Emotional eating has so many layers to it. It really does. So there are about 5 types of emotional eating or eaters. You have your happy emotional eater, and I love them the most because they celebrate with food, right? So they probably celebrate a little too much. So they're like, you know what, the sun's out today, I'm just going to eat, right?
Yeah.
But for them, you know, it's an emotional eating issue because they actually use food to make them happy. So food creates a level of happiness. They don't use it to just satisfy a hunger.
Yeah.
They use it to become happy, right? And then you have your stress eater. So I'm a huge stress eater, but it's stress eaters. It's more of a feeling. You have an underlying feeling of overwhelm or an underlying feeling of frustration. And so what happens with the stress eater is, instead of vocalizing and bringing light to how you're actually feeling, you eat and you stuff those feelings down. Like, I'd rather just eat than blow up or have this tough conversation, you know? And so yep. And so then the third type of emotional eater is your bored eater. So those are the ones that they have more feelings of complacency, hopelessness, and some of them even feel powerless. Okay. Wow. So that person, you can really more often than not find that person just kind of sitting on the couch, watching television, eating.
Okay.
And a lot of that is stemmed from, again, feeling powerless, hopeless. Think of the person that's in a dead-end relationship or a person that's in a dead-end job, right? So they're not addressing that. Their stomach is almost like a bottomless pit. They're just sitting and watching TV. They're not really paying attention to how much they're eating. Right. And then you have the lonely eater. Now, that's for that person that they don't have a social outlet, right? So for them, you know, I think, let me take it a step back. So we all need human contact, right? We that's just how we are. Well, that person lacks that social context or that social contact. Right. And so for them, instead of getting out, being social, they eat. Right? Because they don't really want to confront that. And maybe it's an embarrassment, like, I don't have friends, or I feel weird, or it's hard for me to make friends. Instead of confronting that truth, they eat it. That makes sense.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then you have your fifth emotional eater, which is the binge eater. Now, that person, they will eat a very large portion of food in a very short period of time. With binge eaters, I really try to suggest that they get a lot of help, because it's such a complex form of emotional eating, because it deals with like your emotions, it deals with your environment, it deals with your like social or psychosocial factors. So for binge eaters, I always request and ask that they get a little bit more help because it's so complex.
That was a lot.
It was. I told you.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about from chemical imbalance to emotional triggers. And we haven't even discussed maybe something from trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are the tools? Like if someone is sitting back at home listening to this and something that you mentioned, resonated with them in under one of those categories, what can they do? Is it get a journal, go to the doctors, get some blood work done to see where your blood levels in serotonin, I think you mentioned. Like, what's the number one step that you would recommend?
It's going to sound so simple.
Ooh, tell us.
But it's probably one of the hardest things. So
Right.
I always tell people, own your hurt, own your pain, own your frustrations, own your success, and own your failures. Once you start to own that, you can begin to move forward.
Okay.
Right? Because if you don't own that, you're going to repeat the cycle of emotional eating.
Yeah.
Once you own it and recognize this is mine,
Right.
that puts you in a completely different mental and emotional state so that you can start working on yourself. So one of the things that I work with some of my clients is situations, circumstances. They are what they are. A situation and or a circumstance, it's very neutral, right?
Right.
But with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your emotions and your actions, you actually assign meaning to that neutral situation.
Yes.
Okay. So a situation, it's neither good nor bad. You give it meaning by applying whatever thought you have to it. You give it meaning by applying an emotion. And then you definitely apply meaning by applying some sort of action to that.
Yes.
All right. So, but once you take that step back and you own your situation, you own that emotion, you own whatever it is, you realize, oh, this is what it is. So, for example, I'm in a dead-end relationship. Own that.
Yes.
Begin to own it and recognize this is just a situation. Once you own that and you recognize it's just a neutral situation, now start applying different thoughts to that. Can I make this relationship better? Is it ever going to get better? Yeah. What steps do I need to take to get out of this?
Yes.
So now you're applying different emotions and different actions towards that one situation because, again, the situation is neutral.
Right. Does that make sense? It makes sense because it helps articulate what those feelings. Sometimes we have a feeling, we don't know what that is. And if you write it down, like you said, it can give you a big picture like, oh, is that what I'm worried about?
Exactly.
But then I have choices.
Exactly. And that's part of ownership.
Yeah.
Part of ownership and owning that situation because then it completely changes your thought process because like you said, now I have options, you know. I always have a lot of people ask me, so what's so different from, your business as a, coach than Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers? And my biggest response is, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, they've been around for years. Atkins, been around for years. It works for whomever it should work for, right? But for me, the biggest difference between my business and something like that is that my business gets to the root of what your emotions are, right? Yes. So that's what I work with. Jenny Craig, Atkins, they work with helping you lose weight, right? I start with the mindset and the emotions because once you can transform your mind and once you can transform your emotions, the weight will take care of itself. And I think that's what I love because just a little bit about me, I'm also a certified life coach. So certified life coach, I'm an emotional eating coach, weight loss coach. So for me, I love the mindset, the life coaching piece because if that is not in place, nothing else will be sustainable.
That's true.
You'll lose a couple pounds, on Jenny Craig and Atkins. And, people have seen great results. But when you can work on the mindset and the emotions, those results will be longer lasting.
Yes. And I do hear that a lot. There's a few coaches, including you, that have mentioned that is knowing your why.
Yeah. Yep.
I think is that one of you guys' lessons? Because lesson plan, because it's like, first know your why. I'm like, okay, and you have to go deep.
Yeah. Usually with a lot of my clients, it's so funny because I tell them a lot. I said, you're going to get tired of me asking you this one question, and it's only one word. Why? It's really one word. But usually I ask why about 7 or 8 times until I get to the root of it. Because once you...
It's a hard question to answer.
Well, you know why? Because as human beings, we're always so used to being in control, right? So I'm going to give you my very controlled why, because it sounds so damn good, right?
Right, yeah.
And then, okay, there's a level. If you ask me why again, there's a level beyond that. I can kind of dig there. But by the time you get to the 7th and 8th why, you've exposed some things. And it's not to expose someone to make them cry or hurt, but it's exposing them in a way to help them own what's down there. Because once we can get to the root and once we can have them own that, now we can make some changes that you will see for a long time, not just for 30 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for me, one of my past coaches, she likes for me to go deep. Mm-hmm. And there was one point where there were so many things that I had suppressed from childhood. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know about you and your experience with clients, but have you ever met a client that had to go way deep inside and be like, wait a minute, that stemmed from childhood?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Those are usually the tough nuts to crack.
Yes.
And they come off, especially, and I hate to sound like this, but women come off very strong. Yes. So
we are.
Yeah, we really are. But when there's like there's like layers and layers, they're even stronger. And those are the ones that it's like, once you can get to that root,
right.
Just they feel liberated, and like you're excited as a coach because you've helped them get there. But sometimes they are the hardest to crack, but yeah.
To go back to the emotional eating, when you're finding yourself being in that cycle, when do we know it's just bad and we need help?
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
It's like different for everyone. Yeah. So, I have worked with people who eat themselves sick until they're sick.
Right.
How do I say this? So, when it's bad, I'll give myself as an example. I used to do Blockbuster Fridays. If anyone remembers
I remember. Yes.
So I would order pizza and I would watch movies. Right. But that was just that was my way of just kind of detoxing from the weekends, kind of like just relaxing. Right. So you have that situation, but then let's say you have someone that every weekend they have to have pizza. They have to, it's a have to.
Okay.
It's not a healthy form of, this is what I'm doing to just enjoy and kind of relax. It is, this is what I do because you know what? I don't know how else to function. Kind of think about it, the people that wake up and they have to have their coffee. Kind of like that. Yeah. Yep.
I'm a coffee girl.
See? Yeah.
I'm a coffee girl.
What point are you at with your coffee? Like, do you, because I know people
I love my coffee.
Can you function without it?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I've had coffee since probably I was 2. My grandma used to give me coffee.
As a kid? Oh, my God. You know what I'm going to challenge you to do?
She would give me café con leche.
I love it.
Every weekend I would stay with her, and it's just something that I always do. Now, I have cut back. I used to have like 3 cups a day. So I have my morning coffee, and then that's it.
I'm going to challenge you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know, right?
Damn it.
So try replacing. Just try it one day.
Okay.
One day. And it doesn't have to be on Monday.
Please, not Monday.
I can look in your eyes and tell you're not ready
terrified.
For it. You're like, tomorrow's Monday. We can't do this right now. So try it on Tuesday or Wednesday. But try this. Replace that cup of coffee with 3 medjool dates.
Really?
Yeah. Try it. And then let me know.
Okay.
Yep. Let me know.
Where can I find that? Sprouts?
Yep.
Okay.
Go to Sprouts and I love dates, but try it. 3 dates.
All right. I'm gonna take you up on the challenge, but I'll try it on Tuesday.
Okay. Good. Love it.
Oh my God. So you mentioned a few things to go back in regards to like the chemical imbalance. Do you tell your clients to take supplements that can maybe help with that?
No, actually, I'm a huge proponent of just eating natural foods.
Okay. So what can you eat to kind of level up those nutrients too?
Oh, so it varies because, depending on what is low, it depends on what I would suggest.
Okay.
So, whether you're getting like omega-3s or more protein in your diet, different things like that. So sometimes it just depends on what levels are low or what levels we believe are low. We'll kind of do a trial and error, like, okay, this week, you know what, we're just going to add some more poultry to your diet. Let's see what happens, you know. So we really try to see before because I'm not so much anti-doctor. I really just don't 100% believe in Western style medicine, right? I believe in healing the body naturally through what we have here, which is fruits and vegetables and all our healthy foods, right? So that's kind of what I believe. Now, I do believe in taking supplements. So I take, you know, for me, like I love ashwagandha. That's probably one of my favorite.
I've heard of that.
Yes, love it. So I do believe in taking some supplements, but no, not to heal everything. But like when your levels are low, I mean, you can do something as simple as like taking more zinc or magnesium, B6, different things like that.
I do want to touch on how emotional eating not only affects women, but it also affects men. And it's not really talked about.
Not at all. So I work with women and men, actually. I always say that emotional eating does not have a gender, because it doesn't. We're all humans. We all, you know, energy is energy. You know, love is love, hate is hate, all of that good stuff, right? But it doesn't pertain to just women, right? If you are living a life on this earth right now and something is impacting you and you suffer from emotional eating, it does not mean that you're a woman. I have men that suffer the same way. And I think the unfortunate part about men is that, you know, a lot of times, you know, our society, or more often than not, our society says that men have to be strong, and you know, they are the ones who suppress their emotions the most. And I have learned in dealing with men, while women definitely have a lot of issues with emotional eating, sometimes men have more severe issues with emotional eating because they are taught to suppress their thoughts and their emotions and not have emotional outbursts and things like that. So I found that they're the ones who struggle the most with emotional eating, but they don't talk about it at all. I mean, it's rare, but I do get a lot of like private messages. And like I said, I do have clients that are men, and because for them, it's a source of embarrassment.
Right.
You know, with women, we're just emotional beings, and we're okay. I think nowadays we're okay with that. You know, because we own it, but we also know we're badasses as well.
I know.
So, you know, this may be a tough time.
We own both.
Exactly, right? But with men, it's harder for them to own that because it's not the masculine thing to do or say that I'm an emotional eater. Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
It is sad because emotional eating is you already feel imprisoned, right? But then to be a man who has always been taught not to open up and expose those emotions and expose those secret thoughts, it's Fort Knox for men, you know, in my opinion.
Do you see the same habit?
No, they're pretty much the same. I think what it is, the biggest difference is that it's more suppressed. So with men, a lot of times it's harder to detect than it is with a woman. With men, it's just a little bit harder, but it's really the same. That I found.
Same bad habits.
Yep.
So let's talk about your coaching, actually. Someone comes in to see you, you know, like, what is that process like? You're going to tell them like it is? You're going to be like, you know what? You are not going to have coffee on Monday morning. You're going to go have dates.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because I am such a shoot it to you straight kind of person. I really am. And it's so funny because with emotional eating and my clients, like I'm so different. So it's like, you know, Natasha in the real world versus Natasha as a coach. I'm so much more. I put on those kitten gloves, right? Because emotional eating, it can be embarrassing. It's hard to deal with. It's all of that. So you have to nurture that. And so I still tell them. So
you're not going to come to me like military style, like.
No, I'm still going to demand it and like require it, but I say it a lot gentle, a lot more gentle, right? So it's like, she's not as big of a jerk when she's coaching me, right? So it's a little bit better, but I still tell them dates in the morning. Like if you have to have that coffee, like, you know, no, dates. But yeah.
So what's next for you?
Oh, wow. What is next for me? Actually, I have a few things that I am in the process of doing, working on, trying to get together. So one of the biggest things is I have a wellness retreat that's coming up next September that I'm extremely excited about. So that's coming. But I guess let's talk more current.
Yes.
More current is I actually, I'm running the reggae marathon in Jamaica.
That's awesome.
I know.
God, I wish I could go.
Girl, oh my God. So it's actually, I've been wanting to run it for the last 3 years. This year, and I haven't been able to go. Ironically enough, this year, it's on my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so I'm going to run the reggae marathon on my birthday, but then I'm actually going to be doing like a retreat, so like a wellness retreat at a resort in Montego Bay.
Okay.
So I'll be coaching there for an entire week, and it'll be extremely awesome. And that's kind of one leg of the business that I'm growing, which is why I'm going to have another retreat in September 2020.
Okay.
Another thing that I'm working on is I'm very much into gut health. So if you follow me on any social media platform, or if you go to my website, like, you're sure to hear about gut health, because again, your gut health impacts the quality of your mind, the quality of like your skin, and the way you function in life. Our gut is pretty much our second brain, is what they say, right? And it impacts everything. So one of the things that I have been really trying to focus on and working with another company is starting a nutritional detox supplement.
Okay.
And so right now, what I do with my clients is I have a 5-day nutritional detox program, and I've been doing this program for a couple years now. And just more recently, I've really been putting out there that I'm doing this because, I mean, over the years, people have been seeing so many good results. And, I mean, good results meaning they're not craving certain foods that they've pretty much been addicted to for a while, right? So it's breaking some of those bad habits, but more in a natural way.
Okay, great.
So, so one of the things that I'm really interested in doing is, in the process of doing, is starting like a nutritional detox supplement. So yes, that's.
I think you posted about that not too long ago.
Yeah, I love it.
Was it a week? It was 5 days?
Yeah, so I do 5-day nutritional detox.
Yes.
Yeah. But this, now what I'm going to start doing is kind of taking that a level up, and I'm working with a specific company to really get it pushed out to the market and get it branded, and because I truly believe that when your gut is healthy,
your mind is healthy.
Everything is healthy,
which ties in with the emotional eating. You know, all of that ties in together.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And I know you do weekly Facebook Live in regards to emotional eating.
Yeah.
So anyone that's out there listening and you want to get some help in regards to this topic, you do the weekly. You also have a Facebook Facebook page as well. Can anyone join that?
Anyone can join that.
Okay.
And it's called Break Free from Emotional Eating.
Awesome.
Yes. So anyone can join it, male, female. We have such a great group of people in there. And people that are sharing their stories, people that are actually giving information. I have a lot of resources out there for people to just understand and kind of get well informed on emotional eating and what to look for and how to kind of start to begin to walk on that process of healing.
Yes. I want to join that group.
I'm gonna add you.
Yes.
Do that right after this.
I know, so I can leave those hot fries alone.
Please. Oh my God. But before you do, I think I want a couple. It's been a while. Oh my God. I haven't had those in years.
Oh my God, I love it. Is there anything else that you would like to add or discuss that we perhaps forgot to talk about today?
No, I think for me, it's if I haven't said anything today, the one thing that I want people to understand about emotional eating is don't be embarrassed by it.
Okay.
Don't be embarrassed. We are all so much more alike than we are different.
Yes.
Seek help.
Yes.
And then just own it.
Yes.
Just own it, because once you own it, that's when you start to break the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it right there.
Yeah.
Man. And what is the best way for our listeners to contact you? Is it through Facebook or Instagram?
Actually, I think right now, like Facebook, I am like all over it.
Okay.
But really both
Okay.
platforms. So Facebook, Instagram. So for Facebook and Instagram, my personal links are Natasha NaShea. So Natasha,
Okay.
my first name, my middle name is NaShea. So that's NaShea. So Natasha NaShea. And that's for Facebook and Instagram. And then my Facebook private page is, again, Break Free from Emotional Eating.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait to
Yes.
see what's next with you.
Yes.
And emotional eating is a topic to me that is just not talked about a lot.
It's not, and you know what? And I think it just goes back to what I was saying before. There's so many layers to it.
Yes.
And I think that people are afraid to
So
touch
afraid.
those layers, especially when you start talking about brain chemicals. They're like, whoa,
Yes.
this is too much.
Yes.
But you know what? If we never touch it, we never heal.
Right.
We got to put our hands
Right.
on it and say, this is the reality, in
Yes.
which goes back to what I was saying before. Own it. When you start to own it, that's when your healing and your breakthrough comes.
Yes.
But if you don't own it, guess what? You're going to go to Jenny Craig. You're going to go
I
to Weight
know.
Watchers, and you're just going to lose the weight,
yes.
but you're never
It's gonna be a
sus-
cycle.
Exactly. You'll never sustain it. You'll never sustain it.
Okay.
So I keep saying I want to get to the place where it's like I'm doing conferences about this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I see myself as really a life changer. I am changing
Yes.
lives, and it's one bit of information at a time,
Yeah.
but it's vital information that we all need and can use.
Yes. And especially with the kids. I can even see you going to like high schools and
Because that's where it starts.
that's
right,
where
with those little
everything.
kids.
Yes.
And you know what makes me so sad? It's like when I see little kids. As a matter of fact, yesterday I saw the most beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, but for her age, she was so overweight. And I was like, that poor baby. But it starts at such a young age. But the
Yes.
parents are ill-informed,
Yeah.
you know. And when the parents can start to, really attack their demons and whatever they have going on, we can break some of those cycles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of work to do.
Girl, a lot of work to do, but I'm prepared for it. I'm
I know,
excited
that's
for
right.
it. I am.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.